My name is Kelsey Schrader.
I'm Ian Goodwin.
Hi, I'm Kristen Kramer.
I studied abroad in Tanzania.
I studied abroad in London.
I studied in Toledo, Spain.
Specifically, I remember feeling like I stuck out when we were on a really long bus trip from the huge city of Dar es Salaam to like smaller towns. And we're in this huge like coach bus. We've seen a lot of coach buses on the same small highways that we've been driving on the whole time. But I noticed that only our coach bus was the one getting like tons of attention. So as we're driving along the road, there'd be little kids like running and like bolting out of their little houses and like screaming and running after the bus, like excited, yelling like Wazungu, Wazungu, which means white people. And that was kind of weird because like the windows are closed, and on top of that, yeah, we all were like white, and in America we're not used to like at all sticking out. And so that's when I realized, like looking around, everyone looks like so completely different, and we stick out like a sore thumb. You can like tell that we're white just because of like the way the sun is being reflected through the windows in the bus.
When I went to Germany when I was younger, and I was a little less cultured. We were at a restaurant, and we thought that in German it said, "Please take your own seat." And so we went and sat down, and that was, even though it said that in German, that wasn't the culture, and that wasn't the way we were supposed to do it. Anyway, we got really bad service, and we pissed off the server to the point that he then pulled my uncle aside after my cousin and I left and told us how we were rude little American brats.
So where I lived was kind of outside of like what they called the old city, so I had to take the bus into school every day, which was cool because I lived like where there were no tourists. But one day like on the bus, a lot of people like stopped and stared at me because like being like blonde hair and really light skin was pretty out of the ordinary there, and like people stopped and stared, and that happened even when we were in like the old city part too. So you felt pretty out of place.
My idea of what other people think of Americans would be like that we stick our nose into other people's business and think that we should be controlling everything. Specifically in like Europe, I feel like they think of us as like not being able to leave anyone else alone, or like just let them live their lives and like figure out their own problems, that we always have to like have our nose in. And I think that Americans tend to think that it's for humanitarian reasons that we do certain things, but other people, other countries can either see through it or just see it as like furthering our interests in oil or other things. So I think we're seen as like greedy, we don't think of other people, and then also as tourists like really loud. So again, just like kind of selfish.
I would say kind of fat, lazy, and obnoxious, loud. When we were in Denmark, we were actually asked by a group of young Danish kids why the four of us Americans, none of us were fat.
What I kind of heard before I left, and like what people always say is people that like foreigners don't like Americans, or they think that Americans are rude and lazy, and that's kind of what Americans have said about what they've heard about Americans abroad.
I didn't experience that at all in Tanzania because, I mean, I thought I would, since we're there like trying to give them water and kind of like trying to fix their way of life. Because we had to read a lot of books before we went about how like they don't do certain things the way that we do it, and we can think that it's wrong, but like this is their way of life, and this is like how they've always done it, and so like it's not necessarily wrong. So I assumed that there would be like some kind of animosity, but there really, really wasn't. Like everyone was so excited to see us. We had a couple speakers come and talk to us, and they were talking about how like Obama's dad, or I don't know, something like that, it is from a tribe that is like, there's a lot of, I think it was like Hutu or something. I could be completely wrong on that. But it's like a tribe that's predominantly from like Tanzania and Kenya. So they really liked America for like the aid that we give, and then also, because Obama's dad is like from that area. So
The worst example I can think of was when I was in Switzerland, and when I was staying at the hostel, there was two kind of middle-aged Americans that were, I mean, not huge, but they were a little overweight, and they were extremely suspicious of everyone, and they were distrusting of people not looking to be a part of their culture. They ate at McDonald's. People also assume Americans will always eat at McDonald's or Burger King or any of the fast food. And so they didn't really trust the local cuisine, they didn't trust the locals, and were really rude to a lot of the people that they met.
I didn't really feel that way. Especially, I mean, it could be different because I was living there and I was like part of the community and I went to school there and I volunteered at a different school and things like that. But I don't think that's generally like true. I think it's kind of a person by person basis. So if anyone was rude or lazy, you wouldn't like them. So it's not necessarily like just an American. It might happen to be an American, but it might not be also. So I don't really think that those stereotypes hold as true when you're somewhere for a long time.